No problem at all. But yeah, it's certainly been an interesting day. My phone has gone. I'm sure all of our phones have gone mental today. Mine went mental, but it's been what it's done is it's flushed out the rest of them.
Yeah,
That's true.
But
oh yeah.
I've said the whole way through, I've known the destination. I just didn't know the journey. And Trump's got this habit of taking us down some bumpy roads.
Oh yeah. I'm getting some major hate mail right now in my Instagram. Wow, man, I knew you were a fraud. I'm like, what did I do? Jeez.
If you can imagine, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, I had a Zoom round table for my insider club with nearly 2,000 people on. So yes, I made my statement very, very clear with the information that I had, that I'm still very, very comfortable with my position, and we have not seen the end of it. We haven't even seen the start of it yet.
I agree, and in fact, and common sense would tell you if they were there for this, the soldiers, this many soldiers were there for the inauguration, wouldn't they be packing up in a couple days and leaving? I mean, but they're not. I mean, but if you think like, well, they're supposed to be there for the inauguration, they should be leaving soon, but they're occupying DC because I'm guessing that Biden and Obama and all them are being held in duress. Am I right in saying that, guys? I don't know.
I think that it's a bit like they're waiting for them all to walk into the White House, Biden and his team. And the way I'm reading it, I might be wrong. The way I'm reading it is they'll be arrested and they'll be probably dealt with there, because this is it's foreign soil. Most people were unaware that DC, District of Columbia, is not part of the United States of America, because it's been used for all the wrong reasons in the past.
Like the City of London.
City of London, Vatican City, they're all exactly the same. They're these little circles of naughtiness, if you like, and that's being nice.
Did anyone notice whether the flags were wrinkled during the inauguration speech? Because I heard someone say that, but I didn't go back to check.
Well, you missed the conversation we had before you came on, that I received the live inauguration speech at 7 o'clock this morning in Spain.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was all pre-recorded.
All pre-recorded.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense.
And I shared it with a lot of people at 7 o'clock this morning, and my team were like, "Well, it's not even supposed to happen yet." And I said, "No, exactly. That's why I'm sharing it."
Okay. But
and I was also saying, Tiana, right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
I was also saying that if you noticed Obama, Hillary, Bill, Bernie Sanders, their body language, and they looked despondent, like they were at a funeral. Like this wasn't exciting for them. Like they should be excited that they got the White House back and that Trump's out of the picture. There was none of that. I mean, it looked like they were at a funeral.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, they tried to make it look very like some sort of celebration with the red carpets rolling out, and the world is watching, isn't it? And the deep state is present, and they're all lumped together in one place. I do believe that it's all optics, the fact that most Trump supporters are feeling like he's failed them at this moment. But I mean, Trump is safely insulated and aboard Air Force One, or I mean, I don't know, it's just so important for people to know and understand that the presidency needed to be claimed, right, for the arrest to start happening.
Right, and if he's on Air Force One, wouldn't that go to Biden now? I mean, why is he on Air Force One?
No, he's not. The interesting thing is in DC.
Trump's in DC?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
Simon, come on, you got to share some of this.
Not in Texas and not in Florida.
Because I was hearing a lot of rumors that Trump was in Abilene. Is that wrong? Is that not right?
He's in DC.
But isn't it just laughable that Chief Justice John Roberts is the one who swore in Biden? I mean, it's like corruption.
That's what I was telling Simon. Simon, that's what I saw right there. I saw Chief Justice Roberts doing that, and he said it was a black lady.
Well, maybe I saw the black lady doing the VP, Harris.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Yes, you're right. That's what it was. It was Harris. You're right.
Right. So the black lady did Harris, and
Roberts
right.
Did, right. Yeah, that's right.
But what do we say to the people who have lost all hope? Personally, I believe that this is classic Sun Tzu. I mean, he said that all warfare is based on deception, and that's why when you are able to attack, we must seem unable. And when using our forces, we must seem inactive, right? So the art of war, the classic art of war, is to make the people feel that when you're near, you have to make your enemy believe that you're far away. And you've got to engage people with what they already expect, so that it puts people into predictable patterns of behavior, right? And I think that is what's happening at the moment. I mean, it does settle them into predictable patterns of response, and it occupies their minds while you wait for that extraordinary moment, which is what we're waiting for at the moment. And, you know, they can't anticipate it when it happens.
Still waiting.
Well, that's Trump's favorite book. That's the book that we all have and we all read. And, you know, the last week, the things that were being said to me were, you know, let's let them really believe they've won before we do anything. And I think that's exactly what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
That's what the general's been saying this evening as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's just been telling everyone to keep patient, and it's almost like, you know, he's keeping everybody hanging on. But you have to understand that from the constitutional point of view, Donald Trump is still the president of the United States of America until midnight tonight, DC time.
Did you, Charlie, did you see that wonderful note that Trump left Biden on his desk? Did you see that?
I've heard of that note. What did it say?
It
Do you know
says,
what it said?
You know I won, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh my God, classic. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of humor out there as well at the moment, but there's a lot of people that are very disappointed by the optics, but this is all part of the exposure. And I've likened it on many occasions to the contractions in giving birth. This is the very painful last push before the joy of the birth of the baby. But it's been a tough day today, just because of the simple fact that, well, I know, Nino, you've been battered today.
My
Simon
DMs,
has.
oh, it's terrible. You're a fraud. They're blaming me for his loss. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh,
It's like, where are these people coming from?
It's a really, really important point, because these people believed in Trump, but they didn't actually believe deeply and solidly. They believed because they wanted to believe, but because it was a difference to what they had. And so when it seemed to go wrong, they then have anger. They're looking for someone to blame. And, you know, that's how they're kicking out. That's how they're responding, because they feel betrayed. They feel let down. And that's because they're not developed. I'm not being disrespectful. They're not developed fully themselves. And this will teach them. They'll learn from this, and they'll either then become stronger, or they'll just go the other way. But the point is, as you said, Charlie, this is a point of choice. People are choosing, and this is always going to happen. So yeah, I've had people, and there's the in-between group, which are saying he can't be allowed to win. Now that's neither one thing nor the other, you know. But it's the bit that are saying you led us on, you lied to us, you know. And no, and as you said, Nino, it's like no, I haven't lied to you. You've chosen now to flop immediately.
These aren't the people I would want in the trenches with me in war. I'll tell you that much.
It's very true.
I'm like, wow, man, you guys are just like, you guys turn yellow quick.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is over, man. I mean, like even weeks ago, I'm like, okay, you falling out. I mean, it's there's like maybe me, and I mean, I have friends that are Army Rangers that are like, it's over. Wow, man, what does that say?
Today I feel like a doctor in a special needs hospital.
I think I might have been there.
Yeah, look, we've been through some things, and this is where people forget very, very quickly. You know, we've pointed out the fact that the fence around the White House has the locks on the outside, and people have forgotten about that. We've explained to them that the White House is in DC, and it's the District of Columbia, which is not part of the states. We've pointed these things out. We've pointed out that America right now is under military rule, military law. in the Constitution, you can't elect a president under military rule. That's against the Constitution. So there's so many things, and people just go, "Oh yeah, no, I saw it. He got inaugurated." Well, I saw it 10 hours before it happened. Somebody sent me the video. So what do you say to that? And it went out live.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, what about like when they say he's going to hit the ground running and he's going to start issuing all these executive orders? How does that play out? Like, what?
He's going to hit the ground running, all right. Not in the direction that he thinks he's going in. He's going to be running right into jail because he's committed treason.
I mean, he's kind of already there. I mean, the place looks like a prison.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It will be a prison and a courthouse all in one.
What's
I have
interesting
so
is
many followers now claiming that obviously Q was a psyop to pacify us, but I really do think Q is the only reason no patriots even fell into these honey traps that the Dems laid out. That, you know, they were willing to, the Dems were waiting for patriots to take extreme measures to stop the steal and incite violence in some way. But, you know, the classic Q plan may have been a little wrong, or it might have been delayed, or I don't know. I just feel like I know I sound insane at this moment to so many people, but I think it's so imperative to have faith in times like this, right? Because no matter what, Trump swore to destroy the swamp. And I know we're all upset and frustrated and enraged today, but now that we've witnessed this clown show in full-fledged, it just, I don't know, if the US corporation was truly dissolved in 2019, isn't Joe Biden's inauguration, it's null by default, like you said, Charlie.
Correct.
And since the office he is planning to take doesn't even exist as of this moment, I don't know. I guess what I'm asking is, will Trump have to be inaugurated in March, or will it just keep
March the 4th?
March the 4th, which is the original Constitution date.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. And maybe he'll go and have his base in Texas, like the old ones used to. Who knows?
Right.
I just wanted to quickly say that what's happened is that the FBI have said to Biden that the ongoing threat to anyone in DC is so strong that they've agreed to keep 6,500 National Guard in Washington for a whole week. So I think that's very interesting. So you're right, there are going to be at least 6,500 National Guard permanently stationed in DC.
How many are there right now? Is it like 20,000?
30, just under 30,000.
So they're going to be, so the majority of them will be leaving then.
Yes, because I think that they'll only need 6,500 to do what they need to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that totally. The other thing that was interesting is when Donald Trump did his speech before hopping on Air Force One, there was some American flags behind him. How many was there?
Q number.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
17 flags behind him. And that wasn't a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And did you hear when he
we've
said...
been having so many booms as of late as well, right? I mean, or the following days coming to this day, we've had massive booms. I mean, it just can't be a coincidence that the Pentagon revealed that the Dutch royal family were killed some time ago, right, for torturing and murdering children. And the entire Dutch government stepped down over the massive child welfare scandal. So we've had some big booms, and there's also been an Irish government report of investigation into the deaths of about 9 children. So, you know, there is a lot happening, I think, and these booms can't be happening for no reason. And we also know that the former Prime Minister of Italy, who was it, Matteo Renzi, right, was deeply involved in the US election on behalf of the Biden party.
Yes, correct.
And I've also heard that the MI6 sources say that Angela Hitler Merkel will be out of office in April. Is there any truth to that?
Yep.
Charlie, I want to just ask you a question.
Yes.
I don't know whether the money that we've recovered from the Vatican Bank is worthless because it's electronic, or whether it was gold, or whether it is electronic but it is backed against some physical value. I've heard that something like 32 quintillion has been liberated. What can you say publicly or openly about that?
34 quadrillion was
34.
taken,
Right.
and it was taken in cash, gold, and artifacts.
Excellent.
And it was a total of 650 plane loads.
Excellent. Excellent.
and it has gone to a number of storage facilities. For anybody that knows, when Donald Trump took power, when he looked inside Fort Knox, it was empty.
Yes.
It's no longer empty, it's full now. But yes, no, it was taken from there.
And Charlie, sorry to interrupt you, but let me just be clear, because I'm not sure myself. So this bought the Italian government freedom, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
The Italian government did a deal with Trump.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But there's been a number of deals that have been done. You have to understand that Trump is a businessman. And it's like when the election, when they were flipping the votes, even the mail-in votes, etc., the counters were doing this, and he arrested just the housewives who were doing the counting, and they were told very, very clearly that it came with a mandatory death sentence, and of course that encourages them to speak very, very quickly on who told them to do it. I mean, you pick up a housewife and tell her she's sentenced to death unless she tells you the truth. You get the truth fairly quickly.
Yeah. And we go back a long time. Is what you said there, Charlie, was brilliant. When many years ago now, when China required the US to pay in gold, and they duly did. And then when the Chinese scraped off the top layer, it wasn't gold at all. And that's why the Chinese started to get into real estate, because they wanted to get it back. And it's been a long clawing battle, hasn't it, to try and get that sovereignty back?
Yeah, it has. And the Chinese are incredibly clever in the way that they think and the way they work. And I'll give you an example. When I was approached 3 or 4 years ago, the Chinese offered, the CCP offered me $2.5 billion to invest in the UK, interest-free with no repayment date. And the only catch was they wanted me to introduce them to certain MPs. That was the easy part. I mean, there's not many MPs that will say no to meeting somebody from China if they're going to whack a load of money into the UK.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then suddenly, when they're talking to those MPs, they put it on them and say, fine, if you've got any projects, we'll give you special help to make sure we can do it. And they ease their way in such a discreet way that people fall for it. But Donald Trump is a billionaire businessman. So when you try that trick on him, it has a completely different effect, because he wants to know what you're up to. If you're offering money for nothing with no repayment date, there's got to be a catch. And we saw what happened with the financial markets 10 years ago. With the gambling that went on with the banks, nobody gave a shit because of the fact they were making lots and lots of money, way above what they should have been doing. So when it went wrong, everyone screamed at them, but nobody mentioned a thing when it was going well. And that's in our DNA. And that's what's happened again with the Chinese. Come on, put your money into this, And they've gradually come into countries all over the world. I was shocked at the amount of money that they wanted to put into Venezuela to buy the Bolivar when the Bolivar was tanking out the bottom, and they're going, we'll have some more. And they were spending silly money buying Bolivar. And then suddenly you see how much control they have in Venezuela.
Look what they did to it, Australia. Look how they nearly controlled Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
And there's the old-fashioned saying of money talks and bullshit walks. And they just stick with that.
I have a question, though. All these things that were aligned to happen, didn't happen. I think that's why people are so frustrated. They expected to watch the inauguration and see handcuffs be put on these people, body slammed and taken down and sent to the Huskow, or shot by or sort of lined up and shot by fire right there. You know what I mean? Like, that's what people were expecting. They tuned in for this and it was a dud. So what do you guys think we can expect now? I mean, they also said the EBS would be used, the emergency broadcast system. That wasn't used. The news stations weren't taken over. People were waiting for this spectacular event, and it just so where are we at with this?
Well, the general has made it very clear that he thinks the EBS will be used, but just because it wasn't used when we wanted it used, there's still plenty of time over there for it to happen. will it happen? I'm just, Simon and I are just sitting back with confidence, waiting for things to happen, because things will happen. Will they happen on our timeline? No, they won't. They'll happen. Number one, on God's timeline, but number two, Trump will be guided by God as to when to do things.
Melania Trump on Telegram actually said there's been a delay.
Yes, she did. You're right.
So I think there was to go earlier.
Yes.
But so that genuinely has been an issue. Now that might be that the DS is ramping things up.
You mean she just said randomly, like there's a delay, but she didn't elaborate on that? She just
would never elaborate on it because the enemy could read it. But
so she just said there's a delay.
Yeah, she wanted to send out to the Patriots that the reason nothing's happened is because there's a delay, but she didn't go into detail. I think that the bad guys, got a few cards left to play, and that's what's happening.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
Could have been plans or something.
Melania is on Telegram, so she's sending messages out.
Yeah. Melania said, this is where I'm saying to anybody that if you want to know what's happening on Telegram at the moment, the team put out a list of everyone that would have the information, and it's been sort of handed to General Hyten, that's right, to put the message out. But Melania's been putting out. So has Ivanka.
No, yes. I missed that one.
I've seen Ivanka's one. Yes, that's
right. Ivanka's been putting out. But you have to read into them because of the simple fact that they give little hints and little pointers rather than being in your face.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I'm trying to. People are calling me and messaging me like, what do we do now? You've been giving us all this false hope. I'm like, this is an operation that's very detailed and it's a very elaborate one. So I don't listen. I was thrown for the loop too. I expected to see arrest today. I expected to see Hillary get body slammed and all that. I mean, I didn't want. Yesterday, I kind of started feeling uneasy. I was like, okay, something's up. They're gonna go along with this inauguration. It's gonna go through. But I'm guessing now, do you guys see, do you think now, the events will start unfolding, before March 4th?
Yeah,
or am I moving the
before March. Everything will be resolved by March 4th from that point of view.
And but if it's not, then I have to push the goalpost back some more.
No, I've said the whole way through that I thought that the inauguration would fit into the Constitution because Donald Trump has focused his whole effort on keeping to the Constitution. And
Nino's got such a good point. I mean, the problem was that when people started talking about get the popcorn out, and I don't like that, but it's a joke. But what happened was that people began to build on that, and they thought everything that you've said would be Hollywood style.
Yeah.
And that's what's caused it. And the reality is, and I tried to explain it, that this deep state is so deeply embedded, breadth and width, that you can't just go in and do what you want to do because it has 20 or 30 other ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
And if they've got a supercomputer and the Chinese have got a superluminal computer and the bad guys have, they're all trying to outdo each other. And I think and I said, I was chatting to Sasha Stone earlier today on his thing, that it's all come in a loop. It's now come back because what's happened is somebody who one of the people who were moved out yesterday said to me, it's all over now. What they meant was not it's all over now, we've been beaten. What it meant was the first phase is all over. Mm-hmm. We now move to the second phase. So I can tell you that the people who are very kind and support me, they're absolutely not downbeat. This is absolutely part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
We've just got to sit in with it. What else can we do?
Yeah, I mean, really, it was hard today. I'll say
it was
that.
Hard. It was difficult. Of course it was. I don't like to see murderers, child murderers, and God knows what else sitting there. But what comforted me was that I knew that was not a proper consecrated ceremony. Therefore, it didn't even take place. And that means that the military will have confidence to take action against it because they are not breaking the Constitution. That's the point.
Correct.
The military are there to protect the Constitution and the Republic. But what took place today, officially, wasn't under the Constitution or the Republic. So the military aren't honor bound by that. And that's a really important point to remember.
I'll tell you guys one thing. I'm not going to listen to Garth Brooks ever again.
I'll tell you another thing. If you say this has been a tough day from a boxer who went 36-0 in the heavyweight division, you're going to.
I'm still laughing.
Exactly.
I'm still laughing, Charlie. You know that. I mean, listen. Yeah, it hurts. I don't. What hurts is my pride, and what hurts more than anything is I know this country. I love this country. I want humanity to win. That's what I want to see happening. I don't want to see these evil Satanist pigs have any kind of up card on us at all. Like not one upper hand, not one battle won by them. I want us to win every battle and the war. So that's why it's hard for me to accept this.
Somebody also pointed out to me today that the Bible that Biden put his hand on had the upside down crosses on it.
Yes, I noticed
What?
that as well. It had the upside down
Wow.
cross on it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was pointed out to me. But there's so many things that were wrong about it, and this is what our job is to pick out so that we can point out to people what was wrong. You know, with the first thing was me getting it at 7 o'clock this morning Spanish time. That suggested that it was pre-filmed, but we'd been told that in advance that it was going to be CGI or pre-filmed. I think I heard Simon say it as well.
And the flag
I'd
came
certainly
down,
had.
didn't it? The flag came down off the White House today as soon as the speech was
Yes.
over. So
What?
for those
There's
who
no
don't
flag
know
on the
what
White
that
House.
means, it's just that the power no longer resides with the White. It's because
Correct.
of the military, right? The military's in
So
control.
there's a lot of symbolism here. So they took the flag down?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's not
They
happening.
probably put the skull and crossbones up for the prison.
I
The
mean,
point is that Biden, who spent his life trying to get to this position, couldn't walk away from it if he wanted to now.
No,
That's what's so exciting.
it is.
but I'm going to say it again. It was like they were at a funeral.
Yeah.
I was like, they were just like, Trump was more optimistic on leaving.
Yeah.
He's like, see ya, I'll be, all right, we'll be back better. Like high-fiving. I mean, what the, and then this guy's up there like,
It was Obama that looked the worst.
oh, yes, you're right. He did.
Really
He looked like this is game over.
It looked like he was having a death sentence, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The only person who's going to get away lighter with it will be Bush, because as Charlie knows, Bush has had a private discussion with Trump some time ago now. And if anyone gets away lighter, it will be Bush.
Yeah. Yeah, they've had a
Some sort of
discussion.
plea deal.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Trump's a businessman, and as long as he rids the world of these evil people, he won't get away with it, but he'll get away lighter than the rest of it.
Yes, it won't be, the harshest penalty.
No, it won't be the death penalty. It'll be life in prison.
Yeah, I understand that he's provided some very helpful stuff to Trump, and that's saved his life.
Yeah.
But the father did initially, right? He got to the father first, right? Senior, Bush Senior, and then then what happened at the funeral, right? When everyone received those envelopes, wasn't that something along the lines that they say, conspiracy says, we know he knows everything, something along those lines, that was in the envelopes. Am I right in saying that, or?
Well, I think we're still waiting to find out from somebody else what was in there. But yes, it was published that Bush had written in there that they've got everything. They know everything.
Right, and then also that his code name was Timberwolf, correct? Like,
Yes.
George Bush Senior was Timberwolf, and then he was also, he's responsible for, or he took part in JFK's assassination. That's what the word is in the street.
Yeah, that's correct. And he also had 5 attempts at Reagan's life too.
There's actually a video of the whole JFK family singing Timber by Keisha, and I thought that was really interesting. Why would they do that?
But it's
That was secret.
It's a Freemason, not just a Freemasonry, because I actually don't have too much of a problem with true, genuine Freemasons, but the satanic arm of it, that's the symbol they use for their programming. And that's why it's such an embedded point. But if you notice that letter handling, that Bush Jr. was the only one that didn't have a letter. Everyone else did. And that told us quite a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's going to be a fun week, isn't it?
It's
I
going to
just
be
have
very
one
I mean,
demanding.
that's what they said last week.
Every week is fun.
Very true.
That's
actually.
true.
Yeah, no more bloody popcorn. I've had enough of that.
I'm done with popcorn, man.
It's because Q said the 19th was National Popcorn Day. So I think everyone just clings to these timelines. And that's what I've noticed to not do, learn to not do, cling to dates and timelines. Everything changes every minute. But I've been doing some research about Bill Gates again. And I just have a question. Why are these billionaires buying up massive pieces of land? Like Bill Gates is now one of the largest owners of farmland in America. And I mean, Gates, who is the fourth richest person on the planet, has a farmland portfolio across 18 US states. I think he's got Louisiana, which is about 70,000 acres, and then 48,000 in Arkansas, and then in Nebraska. But, and I guess who else is buying up land? I think it was Amazon's CEO,
Jeff
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos. Right. And
Well,
he's
Charlie can answer that because there's no wealth in bits of paper.
Yeah.
Well, they're not making any more land.
No.
And I think Bezos has land in Texas. I think it's Amazon, right?
Yeah, but this
He's out here in Van Horn. I think he has land out right down, about an hour and a half away from El Paso.
when we change to this new financial system, the quantum financial system, and we move away from the old system, then the value of what they have will not have any importance anymore.
Right. Okay. Is it also possible that, this is possibly for an engineered famine that will come if Biden was put in power? Bill Gates is the one with the euthanasia vaccine, and he's also the one running experiments to pollute the stratosphere with, he's also doing that. He's funding the sun dimming project now, right? And he's blocking photosynthesis and shutting down food crop production.
This is all being exposed, and
yeah.
This is what the emergency broadcast will expose the whole thing as to what they've been up to. That's what I understand is that this is the when we get to this stage, when everything is in place, there's a very, very important thing that was told to me today. We won't move on to the quantum financial system until Trump is 100% sure that the swamp is empty, because he doesn't want to finance or refinance anything evil within it. He wants to make sure that he's got everything out, and that makes perfect sense to me. And he's had to do a number of tests. For those people who've seen the video from 20, 30 years ago with Charlie Rose, he enjoyed going down to his lowest financial level ever to see who his friends really were, and he was surprised who they were and who stood by him and who didn't. And he's doing exactly the same right now. He's finding out who's real, who's with him, and who's not with him.
I can attest to that, because when I was boxing and I was champion at 6 belts and I was number 5 in the world, I had an entourage of 30 people. As soon as I lost and got knocked out, whoa, they vanished. Where'd they go? Gone. They're later. All right. Well, I have maybe 2 friends around me, and even then that's at a microcosm level if you compare to Trump. I'm just saying, I know people, and that was a hard lesson to learn. And
I tell you what, you said today you've had a tough day with the abuse and one thing and another. Put yourself in Donald Trump's shoes for the last 4 years.
That's what I do. Whenever I feel bad, that's exactly what I do to make myself feel better.
He's had some serious abuse for 4 years.
Well, there's a lot of people saying, and I can understand their position. So I'm just going to tell you guys, maybe I can get some feedback from you guys, because I don't know what to tell them in this. They're saying, well, man, you've been played too. You were played because in the grand game, this whole grand chess game, Trump was a part of it, and he led people to the finish line and then fell out on them. He forsake them at the end of the finish line. Like, that's what people are saying. Like, he got us all excited. He got us up to the race, and then right to the finish line, he leaves us. You know what I mean? And then we're left to fend for ourselves, basically, is what I'm hearing.
But I think here's something that people don't realize. I mean, it's actually a bigger, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Simon and Charlie, but I think, isn't it a bigger act of treason for Trump to sit back and do nothing when he's holding all the evidence of fraud? I mean, it's bigger than Biden certifying himself the rightful president of a rigged election, wouldn't it? I mean, and if Trump does nothing, that makes him a traitor. And if he really was a traitor all along, why would the deep state want to take him down? Is it wrong to think of it like that, or?
The one thing with Trump, you can be rest assured, the team behind him totals around 8,000 in total. The team behind him. This has been incredibly well thought out and very well planned, and they're making sure that there is no mistakes.
Right.
And I can assure you that I have 100% confidence in Donald Trump and his team that they are doing everything exactly the way that they want it done to make sure there's no mistakes.
Right. It's just doing it legally completely.
You agree with that, Simon?
Yes, I do. I know you were on this theme, but I just wanted to quickly go.
Yeah, go on.
If you don't mind. It's just that I do want to reassure people. There are lots and lots of people who have a little bit of money in the bank, a little bit of money in PayPal, a little bit of money here. I'm in Britain, and I remember in 1971 we had a currency called pounds, shillings, and pence, and it was changed to a decimal currency, and it was changed in a way that it hurt the ordinary people, but it was good for the banks. Now, Charlie, can you reassure us that when we move across this, I don't know if it's going to be a like for like basis, but ordinary people, you've got their life savings or whatever it is. You know, what's your understanding of because you can't dispossess ordinary people of their hard-earned money.
No, everything that the accounts have already been set up on the quantum system.
Right.
So whatever funds that you've got are mirrored straight onto the quantum system, as long as you haven't made them from drugs or trafficking or paedophilia. If you've made it from illicit, then you're going to lose it. Quite simple.
Sure.
But
I'm talking about ordinary people. Charlie.
Ordinary people with ordinary money, it'll go straight across onto the quantum system. And that's already gone. Everybody that's got a bank account or a savings account or whatever, it's already on this new system already. So when they take the old system down, it will just go straight onto the new system. And he's just making sure right now that they don't finance anything or any of the instruments that are being moved across from the old SWIFT system to the quantum system are not contaminated. That's the critical thing.
Sure. Sure.
Because they need all the contaminated money to refinance the world, and
Yes.
there is more than enough. I can assure you, absolutely more than enough. And on my own website, we've published over 100,000 documents now to do with the Bidens, to do with the Clintons, to do with the Bushes. I'm not a lawyer, and there's enough evidence there for me to convict the lot of them and seize all their assets. So with a decent set of lawyers, and Trump will be very careful with this because he can't trust the DOJ. He'll want a decent set of lawyers to make sure that they get it right.
So would you say we have until March to do this, Charlie and Simon? And
No, well
Deanna?
before
I
then.
mean, so this is all going to come. This is going to be speed real fast now.
Listen, something could happen tonight.
Yeah.
Something could happen tonight. What Charlie's saying is on the 4th of March, it's got to be done and dusted. That's the point, because that's the moment we move forward. Between now and the 4th of March is all the clear up, which you will get the emergency broadcast system. You will get mainstream media coming down. All of that's going to happen before the 4th of March.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could happen tonight.
That makes me feel better. At least I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll sleep beautifully.
Well, I've been taking NyQuil every night, Charlie. I've been doing that since.
Bless you.
I'm married, so I find it ever so easy to sleep.
I don't understand that, but never mind. No, it is so difficult because, you know, we're all of us around this table. We're all of an age where we have, whether we like it or not, we're used to the television, and we're used to being given those images. And you know, the images that we were given seem so plausible.
Yeah,
so plausible. And the difficulty is that those people who don't do any research, they don't have any contacts, they just have, you know, the regular news. They're in for a massive, not just a shock, but there's going to be resistance for them to believe it. And that's going to be the battle. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to actually support people and help people, because there will be total disbelief to start with. Because it was on television. I saw him get inaugurated. I saw Trump say goodbye. That's the point they're going to come from. It's going to be as basic as that.
Well, General Hines said today, make sure you stay indoors because there'll be riots. And the people who've seen this will be so angry with what's happened, there'll be riots. So they're saying to the patriots, just stay calm and stay inside. Keep away from the trouble.
Yeah.
When did the general say this?
Tonight. Yeah. What we're imagining is that the BLM and Antifa will, if they get wind of the fact there's a counter coup, a counter revolution, then they'll be in small groups, small cells, and they're going to go out and cause issues.
Yeah.
That's what we're expecting.
And he said this will happen tonight, or?
Sorry, go on, David. Sorry.
No, I just said he said this is going to happen, I guess, before March.
Like now.
Yeah.
Like tonight.
I didn't catch that. Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're really just waiting for Antifa and BLM to leave, honestly, aren't we? For them to think they've won and leave, for them to, the arrest.
Oh, we'll see over the next, I think over the next 24, 48, 72 hours, I think we'll see a lot of clarity.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling.
You see, you're right, because why would they riot at the moment? Because they've got their man into the position. But then suddenly, if all the cell phones start carrying President Trump's voice or a general, then that's what's going to cause a backlash amongst the anarchists.
Right.
Yeah, they won't be very happy if their man gets arrested within sort of a few minutes of walking inside the White House. That'll upset them, I think.
And the big deal here actually is that I think that some of the media may actually play ball.
Yeah,
I think that they might actually carry voluntarily over their masts, over their transmitters. They might carry the messages because other than that is to be shot. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the media actually do it, and I also wouldn't be surprised if some of the key executives have already been arrested.
well, OAN actually put out yesterday that that Biden had been arrested anyway.
He was in federal custody. They made a mistake.
But,
yeah, they aired it. I had that on my phone.
Like Building 9 has come down.
Yeah, exactly, Simon. Exactly.
Yep, they put that story out a tad too early.
Yeah. But what a change on the foot from always being on the receiving end. Now it's actually swapped round. It must be very difficult for them to grasp the fact that after 50, 60 years, well, 50 years from JFK plus 50 years, suddenly, in a twinkling of an eye, as it seems, they've lost control or they're losing control. And I think that's what really destabilizes them.
Yeah. I think most of us remember the Australian guy that owns the newspapers.
Falling off a boat.
Oh, Maxwell, yeah, but the other one who used to say that I choose the who runs each country.
Ah, right.
That's how much clout they had, and that's all dissipated, and they're not going to be very happy about that.
No.
I've heard there's a lot of military activity where my friend's at in New York, and they're seeing helicopters going back and forth, and it's not regular. They've never seen this before. And not only that, there's a lot of rumors, and I've seen video of battleships out in Long Beach. So there's a lot of military activity. So what is this? Because there's a threat from China, obviously, right? I mean, no. What is it then?
No. Internal. There are 290 vessels to the East Coast and about 250 vessels to the West Coast, and they are aircraft carriers, they are cruise missile carriers. I was given a list of all the type of vessels there are, and some of them have been hiding or shielding behind the container ships off Long Beach, which are waiting to dock. They've been waiting that. And the point is that you can get an awful lot of troops and helicopters off an aircraft carrier in. Look, the real America is on the verge of saying to California, get lost. We don't want you. That's really possibly on the cards at the moment. So these military assets are for certain cities on the East Coast and certain cities on the West Coast. If the governors and the mayors try to put up a resistance, that's what they're there for.
Okay.
Interesting.
Some people were asking me, some of my followers were asking me, isn't the military under Biden now? But
No.
the military authority transfers to a new president if one exists legally, right? Which isn't the case at the moment. So.
They're not, because it's not legal. And anyway, the military have made it quite clear privately that they will never have Biden as their commander-in-chief. And so what's happened, and this is why I said earlier, it had to be in a fashion that gave comfort to the senior generals that they weren't acting against the Constitution. So because Biden was not inaugurated as per the Constitution, he is not the president of the United States. Neither is Trump. And so we have this period in time. Now, I think Trump's been very clever because there is going to be bloodshed. I don't know when or how, but there will be. And Trump can say, I wasn't the president.
Yeah.
It was this body of guys. When it's all cleaned up, I'll come in. So no one in the history books in 50, 60 years' time can write a history book saying that Trump presided over this situation. He can say, nope, it wasn't me. So it's, as Charlie said, it's been totally worked out.
Well, Pete Gaynor, head of FEMA, and Christopher Miller, they're the people currently running the United States of America.
And FEMA, because they're going to have thousands and thousands of people to put up in the prison camps.
Correct.
That's why over the last 4 years, huge amounts of money have been going into FEMA so that they can take, so like 192,000 people destined to be arrested.
Yeah.
So basically, Trump is just saying the dirty work I'm going to blame on Biden. It'll be under his the perception of his presidency. When the shit gets bad, it's going to look like it's Biden.
Yeah, he'll be responsible because he was the one that brought it to this part.
I said that earlier. I knew. Man, I felt that. Man.
You were right. You should believe yourself.
I was like, shit. Then I started thinking I'm crazy because I'm like, man, maybe I just need to call it quits. You know, maybe my mind's going way out there.
No,
you're doing a great job.
You're absolutely spot on.
You're bang on the money.
No, that's right.
One question.
I'm the one that's crazy.
The official,
We know you are, Charlie.
the official White House page on Facebook has changed their name to the Trump White House. Is that
Yeah, that's true.
is that normal? Or is, I mean,
No,
No.
it's not
someone
normal.
messaged me saying they did this with Obama as well, but I don't know how I can verify that.
No.
There's lots of things. I mean, the bad guys have taken down the 1776 commission. They took that down very quickly electronically, but Trump doesn't care. They've taken that down.
Yeah.
So they're tinkering around with the edges, but they've not actually got the keys to the crown jewels.
But he's not going to be able to enforce executive orders, right?
They can't. No, they won't. Well, he can if it's purely civilian and purely, political. He can. But if he's requiring any military or anything like that, then they won't back him.
No.
So he can say, "I'm raising the price of oil." If he could try that, or he could say, "I'm doing this," or the schools will close 30 minutes earlier. He can do all that.
But he's actually.
What about border issues?
No,
No.
border forces refuse to accept him.
He issued an executive order to empower Pete Gaynor and Christopher Miller anyway.
Yeah.
So that they're the people that are in charge right now.
Yeah, and as you said, Charlie, it's not until midnight that.
Oh, Trump.
Midnight.
Trump,
I think.
okay.
Sorry?
Midnight Eastern Standard Time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hmm. And General Flynn taking over for the interim period, is that also going to happen, do you think?
From what I understand, General Flynn will be a special envoy that goes around the world on behalf of Trump, setting up JASARA in every country. That's what I understand. And I understand that Mike Pompeo will be Trump's number 2. It's fairly clear to me from, and I think Simon has said much the same, they'll have different titles. They won't be president and vice president and the rest of it, because we're moving away from the old system to a new system. And I might, just a Charlie thought, I thought it would be fitting for him to be a king because of the fact that it's a game of chess. He got rid of the queen very early on in this journey, and of course, to win the game of chess, you need to keep your king on the board. So,
Charlie's pulling legs here. What he's saying is true, but the problem, of course, is the history between Great Britain and America was the mad King George. So I think that wouldn't go. But I do believe that he might be known as the President of the United States, but he might use another title.
Yeah.
That's what I think Charlie's hinting at. And I think that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie, go on.
Because the critical part of this will be returning the United States of America to constitutional law over against admiralty law. That will be the critical part.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting because you'll find, I believe, Charlie, that they won't all move the countries across the world at the same time.
No, they won't.
So you're going to have, say, Britain, which has got admiralty law, trying to deal, let's say, with an extradition or something like that. It's going to make it very difficult, very interesting.
Yeah, well, Flynn, from what I understand, Flynn will be traveling the world to help everybody transition. That's what I understand. We'll have to wait and see.
I'll be happy for him as long as he's got a government position because he took the bullet.
Yeah.
So he needs to be.
Why didn't Trump pardon Assange? Julian,
he was held to ransom on that one by the Republican Party.
Oh.
And what was the situation about Trump not paying Giuliani his fees or something? Can anyone elaborate on that? I mean, what is your opinion on Giuliani? Because I know Robert David Steele doesn't like him.
Simon?
Oh, how diplomatic of you. I think that Giuliani played the role very well because in the early days, just after November the 3rd, they weren't able to get the message out. And what that guy did was fantastic. Although it never went anywhere with the legislatures, they were carried on videos and social media, and an awful lot of people got to understand the message. And I think that I'm sure that to a certain extent, Sidney Powell and Giuliani thought they would do better in the courts. I don't think they appreciated the barrier they were up against. And I think there was some difficulty because if you promise something and you can't deliver it, then you should expect a little bit of sadness, difficulty coming back. But the point is that those two played at that point a very important role. And I actually think that Sidney Powell has got a greater role to come than the mayor, actually. I don't know what you think now. I've been very diplomatic and spoken without mentioning Robert David Steele at all.
I think myself, you have to understand the principles of chess, that to win the game, you have to forfeit certain pieces to achieve the final goal. Every single piece is a necessary part of the process. And when you win a game of chess, you don't win with all your pieces on the board. And that's what we're going through. And there's certain people that have been used for a specific reason to get to a certain place. But I think everything will become an awful lot clearer over the next 72 hours.
Well, we talk about the art of war. Clausewitz was a German tactician, and he said battles were won with leftovers.
Yeah.
So
isn't there a move on chess? I don't play chess. I probably need to pick that up now that I'm doing boxing. But isn't there a move in chess that it's called Castle Rock, and they mention that in you? It's called Castle Rock, right? Like you leave. I don't know what it is, but like you pull them in and then boom, get them, right? Isn't that it's like a checkmate move? Like a Castle Rock is actually a move. So they say that on cue. You know, they say the last move is Castle Rock, and I'm guessing, what is this, like the rope-a-dope?
Well, Castle Rock is Trump, and it's called Castle Rock in America. We just call it castling here in Britain, but it's where you swap places. You were standing in one place, so everybody charged at you, and then suddenly you just shifted like that, and you put something up that was to take the punishment. It's a very strong defensive move. in chess.
Mhm.
Do you think the Capitol Hill and the double standards of the media red-pilled some of the public when that happened? Because that day the people saw the use of different rhetoric and tone to cover the Capitol riots, and the people will see that, okay, there's no excuse for the things that happened on Capitol Hill, but there's also no excuse for what happened in Portland, Seattle, and Chicago. And also during those riots by Antifa and BLM, Kamala Harris raised bond money for these rioters and looters in the cities, just like Hollywood celebrities did. And there's not one Republican that didn't condemn those riots. Would you say that did red pill some people?
Listen, I think 85% of both houses are probably arrestable. That's how bad it is.
Right. Okay.
Now, I don't think they will all be, because they'll just have to go for the worst. But if the evidence that I've seen, and I've only been shown a very small part of it, but the evidence I've seen shows that Trump actually flipped California.
He did.
So if you can achieve that, then all of the riots in Portland and et cetera, they did exactly the opposite to what the bad guys wanted. It actually threw people into the Trump's camp. No, you know, 75%, not millions, 75% of America voted for Trump. That's astonishing. Even Hawaii, the figures I've shown, bloody Hawaii even voted for Trump. And they didn't vote Republican. They voted for Trump. And that's why this new political party, which is on the verge of being set up, will not have anything. It'll be people from Democrats, people from Republicans, people who've never been in politics before, people from the military, retired. They're the people going to go into this party. And that's the beginning. And Trump will create a party of national unity.
Mhm.
What is it called again?
Well, there is a name, but I'm not sure that's the one they're going to accept.
No,
Okay.
exactly. That's a very important point there, Simon, because we've known it as Nasara and Jassara, but we're pretty much all on the same page that whatever name it's used, we'll all be fine with it. The fundamentals are already starting, and the name is irrelevant. But that's what it was set up as in the 60s, 62, when it was first issued.
Before the murder.
That's right. But whether it's given that name or not, it makes no difference. It's not an ego thing. The principles of it are extremely good.
Well, any surviving relatives of the JFK, the Kennedy line, I think will be delighted to see that come to fruition.
Sure. Well, guys,
I think that's it, isn't it?
yeah, I think it's been a good round table this evening to get, and we'll see what happens in the next few hours.
Mhm.
I'm sure
Simon and David, I'd love to have you on my channel. I've been telling Charlie like crazy that I really want to interview you guys, and it's amazing that he's made this possible. So thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, sure.
no problem at all.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure too. You guys are awesome, all of you. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Tiana. Charlie, I love you, man.
You too, buddy.
And I'm gonna get out there when I'm debating whether I should go back to drinking or not now.
Well, I'm still coming over to the inauguration in March.
All right. That's okay. That'll be okay. We'll go hard then, Charlie.
Exactly.
Nino, just reflect back people's own negativity. When they come onto you, reflect it back onto them. Don't take any of the crap. Just reflect it back and say, this is your problem. You're actually generating this. This is, your issue. You've got to work on it. Don't let them get to you.
Yeah, it's
yes.
their insecurities they project
Thanks,
it onto
Simon.
you.
Yes, absolutely. Now,
I appreciate
before
this.
we all go, does that mean, Charlie, that you've got a ticket for the ball? I haven't got one because I'm a Brit, but you're not really a Brit, you see, Charlie.
Oh, I'm a nomad.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Well, I know several people who have got the ticket for the ball, and if you go, I'll make sure they come and introduce themselves to you.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's
Listen,
awesome.
God bless to everybody. Fantastic. Thank
You
you.
God
too.
bless all
Thank you,
guys.
Charlie.
Thank
Sleep
you.
well.
Yeah, right.
Cheers, guys.